Welcome to Motivational Moment. I'm Coach Rosa Smith-Montanaro, your training and workshop coordinator with RochesterWorks. Every week, we share a motivational moment with you, keep you moving forward. And this month, we are talking about happiness. Happiness happens. And we have a series for you on happiness. A lot of it is from Shawn Achor's book, The Happiness Advantage. I read the book probably a decade ago. It was an excellent book and had made major, wonderful changes in my work life and in my home life. And so I want to share a different technique or strategy each week to help you increase your own internal happiness. This week, I'm going to talk about something that Shawn Achor talks about in his book, and he calls it the Tetris Effect. Tetris, like the game, right? And what's interesting about the Tetris Effect is what they found when they did studies and people are playing video games is the more they played these video games, they noticed the patterns of the games even when they weren't playing. So Tetris, for example, you have I'm not a video game person, so I'm telling you my interpretation of Tetris. You get those blocks in a row, right? So there might be a vertical block, there might be a horizontal block, there might be an L-shaped, and they're like colored blocks, right? So the interesting thing is people would play Tetris, and then they'd go out and they'd start to notice patterns with skylines and clouds. They'd say, wow, you know what? That actually looks like it forms this type of shape. They would see how the Tetris blocks fit into the skyline. And their mind would automatically start relating the two. The same thing with Grand Theft Auto. They did these studies where people played Grand Theft Auto over and over again. And then they would be walking by a car just randomly. And they would think about, I bet you I could figure out how to get that car, break into that car or take off in that car or hotwire the car. I don't play Grand Theft Auto, but it was a funny story about how your mind just starts to wander. And it makes me think about all the resumes I've read. I remember when I started my career in career management, I had to start with learning how to write resumes and teach how to write a resume. And we had a major layoff in town. Thousands and thousands of people were impacted with one of the area's largest employer at the time. And a lot of people were black and white research scientists. So a lot of research, black and white film, research scientists. I looked at a lot of those resumes. I know nothing about research. I've never been a scientist. I know what black and white film is because it's my era I grew up in. So when I learned how to take photography in school, we learned how to develop film, and it was black and white. That's my extent of what I know about black and white film. Do you know how much I've learned from reading those resumes? I learned about polymers, and there's wet chemicals, and there's you can extend the life cycle of a chemical that scientists use to. I'm going to say that the plant might use in the development of materials like film. And because I read these accomplishments about how they extended the shelf life of certain processing liquids and how they broke that down and tested it, that sometimes I look at things and I think, hey, I bet you could extend the shelf life of that by 2 weeks if you swapped out an ingredient or kept it in a dark place or tested it out by a day each time. And I really sometimes think I know how to do root cause analysis, and I have no idea how to do it. And that's the Tetris effect. It's repeated exposure to something to the point where you see the pattern in everything else. I mean, think about that. You have a repeated exposure to something, and you see the pattern now in other areas of your life. And this is happening to us more often in a negative way than in a positive way. And we are deliberately looking at the patterns in our life now and bringing things into our life to create a positive Tetris effect. So reading books about people that overcame obstacles, listening to podcasts about people that Maybe you're really successful at sales and you're in sales, and they've overcome smoke screens and objections and people's reasons why they can't buy, or their own timidness, their fear of cold calling. I've seen it all throughout my career. People overcome those things, but they do it because they expose themselves to people who are good at it. And they listen to those stories over and over, and they try those exercises, and they go to those seminars. And then at some point, they're willing to do it. You see, that's what we need to do more of. We need to pretend in your mind that this is like a little game that you're playing. It's your life. The game is your life. What do you want to see the opportunities for in your life? And start to find ways to expose yourself to that. Maybe it's watching certain types of documentaries, listening to certain types of audiobooks, engaging with people who are aligned with where you want to go. And you will start to see those patterns in other areas of your life. This is a really profound insight, and I hope you apply it. I'd be very curious to see how you do. And I'd love you to let us know in the comments. Let us know when you're in our workshops. Connect with me on social media. I'd love to connect with you. It's on LinkedIn, it's Coach Rosa. So just look for linkedin.com/InCoachRosa. Also, make sure you're following us, RochesterWorks, on all the social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, and like our video, subscribe to our channel. Thank you for joining us. I have more topics I'm going to share with you. I'm looking forward to this, and let's increase our happiness together. Take care, my friends. Thank you.